Have you ever met someone who just had that magnetic energy? They weren't the loudest in the room. They didn't flaunt their looks, yet people were naturally drawn to them. Ever wondered why? What if I told you that attraction isn't just about looks or words? It's about the silent habits you cultivate every day. Habits that whisper confidence, mystery, and depth without you even trying. In this video, we're diving deep into 12 silent habits that make you instantly more attractive. Some of these might surprise you, but if you stay until the end, you'll discover one particular habit that can transform your love life. But before we begin, if you're enjoying content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Your support helps us bring more valuable content your way. Now let's get started. 1. The power of presence. Think back to a time when you were deeply in love or had a crush on someone. Maybe it was the way they looked at you, the way they listened completely, fully. Didn't it feel like you were the only person in the world at that moment? Now let me ask you, have you ever had a conversation where the other person seemed distracted? Maybe they were checking their phone, looking around the room, or nodding absent-mindedly while you spoke. How did that feel? Presence is everything when it comes to attraction. The most magnetic people in the world aren't necessarily the loudest, the best dressed, or the most physically attractive. They are the ones who make you feel seen. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine, let's call him Jake, was madly in love with this woman, Emily. She wasn't the most traditionally beautiful person in the room, but there was something about her. Whenever she spoke to you, it felt like you were the most important person on earth. She made eye contact, she listened without interrupting, and she never seemed in a rush. People loved being around her. One night, Jake and Emily were at a dinner party. Everyone was talking over each other, trying to impress and be heard. But Emily, she sat there listening. When someone spoke to her, she truly absorbed what they were saying before responding. And you know what? By the end of the night, everyone gravitated toward her. That's the power of presence. So how do you develop this? Put away distractions when you're with someone, be with them. Put your phone down, avoid checking the time, and focus completely. Slow down instead of rushing through conversations or interactions. Take your time. Listen, process, and respond thoughtfully. Make eye contact. Not in a creepy way, but in a way that shows you're fully engaged. Try this the next time you have a conversation with someone you care about. Give them your full, undivided attention. You'll be amazed at how magnetic you become. 2. Mastering the art of mystery. Think about the most attractive person you've ever met. Was it their looks that drew you in? Or was it the fact that there was something about them you couldn't quite figure out? Attraction thrives in mystery. Have you ever been on a date where someone overshared everything about their life within the first hour? They told you about their childhood trauma, their exes, their dreams, their fears, all before the appetizers even arrived. How did that feel? Overwhelming, right? Now think about someone who only reveals things piece by piece, someone who keeps you intrigued, who leaves space for curiosity. They don't hide who they are, but they also don't feel the need to lay everything out at once. That's what makes them attractive. Let me share a personal story. I once had a friend named Alex. Alex had a way of making every conversation feel unfinished, not in a bad way, but in a way that made you want more. When he spoke about his weekend, he'd say, "It was interesting. I had a bit of an adventure," and then he'd pause, letting you ask for details. By the time he finally told his story, people were dying to know. This is a skill you can develop too. Here's how. Don't overshare too soon. You don't need to spill your whole life story immediately. Let people discover you gradually. Leave some things unsaid instead of giving every detail. Leave gaps that spark curiosity. Speak in a way that invites engagement instead of saying, "I had a great weekend." Say, "This weekend was interesting," and let them ask for more. When you become someone people want to know more about, you naturally become more attractive. For the confidence of silence. Now let's talk about something really powerful, the ability to be silent. Think back to your past relationships, your past crushes. Have you ever been in a situation where you were nervous, where you felt like you had to fill the silence with words? Maybe you were on a date and after a few seconds of quiet you panicked. So you started talking, rambling, even just to avoid the awkwardness. What if I told you that silence is one of the most confident things you can embrace? Picture this. You're sitting across from someone you're deeply attracted to. There's a moment of quiet. Instead of rushing to fill the space, you hold their gaze. You take a sip of your drink, you wait. And suddenly the silence isn't awkward, it's charged. It's powerful. Let me tell you about a guy I once met. His name was Daniel. Daniel wasn't loud. He wasn't the type to jump into every conversation. But when he spoke, people listened. Why? Because he wasn't afraid of silence. Once I saw him at a dinner party. A woman asked him a question, and instead of answering immediately, he paused. He took a second to think. The room got quiet, waiting for what he'd say next. And when he finally spoke, it felt like his words carried weight. That's the confidence of silence. How can you master this? Pause before you speak even. A second of silence before responding makes you seem more thoughtful and composed. Let others fill the space. People often rush to fill silence. If you stay comfortable in it, others will find you intriguing. Slow down your speech. Rushed words can make you seem nervous. Speak with intention. Try it. The next time you're in a conversation, embrace the silence instead of fearing it. You'll be amazed at how much more confident and attractive you become. 4. The strength of boundaries. Have you ever been in a relationship or a situation where you felt like you were constantly giving, always saying yes, always making compromises until one day you realized that you had lost yourself? Maybe you were dating someone you really liked, and you thought, if I just do everything they want, if I always say yes, they'll see how much I care, and they'll never leave me. But what happened? Instead of making them love you more, you probably started feeling invisible, unappreciated, maybe even used. The truth is, people are not attracted to those who have no boundaries. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, Sarah, was head over heels for this guy, Jake. She adored him. But from the very beginning, she ignored every boundary just to keep him happy. He'd cancel plans at the last minute. She'd say, no problem. He'd take hours to reply to her messages. She'd tell herself, he's just busy. He'd make decisions without considering her, and she would always just go along with it. At first, Jake seemed to like this. She was easygoing, agreeable. But over time, something strange happened. He started to lose respect for her. He stopped making an effort, and eventually he walked away. Why? Because she never required more from him. She never showed him that her time, energy, and presence were valuable. Now imagine someone different. Let's call her Emily. Emily is kind, fun, and loving, but she also respects herself. If someone cancels last minute, she doesn't rearrange her whole life for them. If someone treats her poorly, she speaks up. She has standards. And because of that, people see her as valuable. The lesson? When you don't set boundaries, people start to take you for granted. But when you show that you respect yourself, others will respect you too, and that makes you incredibly attractive. So how can you develop stronger boundaries? Learn to say no. It's not rude. It's self-respect. Don't over-explain. You don't need to justify why you can't do something. Value your time. If someone isn't making an effort, don't chase them. Ask yourself, in my past relationships, did I have strong boundaries? Or did I let things slide just to keep the peace? If you've ever felt drained or unappreciated, it might be time to change that. 5. The unshakable calm. Now think back to a time when you were really into someone. Maybe it was a first date, a first kiss, or even a deep, late-night conversation that made you feel connected like never before. Did you ever notice how some people have this rare, almost hypnotic calmness about them? They don't react emotionally to every little thing. They don't panic when something goes wrong. Instead, they handle life with a quiet, confident ease. That's unshakable calm, and it's one of the most attractive traits you can have. Let me tell you about a guy named Ryan. Ryan wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, and he wasn't the most traditionally good-looking person. But every woman who met him found him irresistibly attractive. Why? Because nothing rattled him. One time, Ryan was out on a date when something unexpected happened. The restaurant messed up their order. The waiter spilled wine on the table, and the whole evening seemed like it was going downhill. Most people would have been irritated, maybe even embarrassed. But Ryan, he just smiled, took a deep breath, and laughed it off. Instead of letting the situation control his emotions, he stayed calm. And you know what happened? His date relaxed too. She felt safe around him, like nothing could ruin the night. That's the power of staying calm. People are naturally drawn to those who can handle stress without losing their cool. It signals strength, emotional maturity, and confidence. Here's how you can develop this habit. Pause before reacting. When something upsets you, take a deep breath before responding. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week? Most things that stress us out aren't as big as they seem. Adopt a Stoic mindset. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, Believe that we can't control what happens to us, only how we respond. Next time life throws a challenge your way, don't react emotionally right away. Stay calm, breathe, and watch how people start seeing you in a whole new light. 6. The charm of curiosity. Now, let's talk about something that might surprise you. The art of being curious. Think back to the last time someone made you feel truly special. Was it because of what they said? Or was it because they really listened to you, like, really listened? One of the most attractive things you can do is show genuine curiosity about others. It makes people feel seen, heard, and valued, and that is magnetic. Let me share a story. I once knew a woman named Sophie. Sophie wasn't the loudest person in the room. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. But somehow people loved talking to her. Why? Because she had this rare ability to ask the right questions. Instead of talking about herself, she'd ask things like, "What's something you've always wanted to do but never had the chance? What's one of the best memories from your childhood? If you could live anywhere in the world for a year, where would it be?" She made people feel interesting. She made them feel like their thoughts and dreams mattered. And because of that, everyone wanted to be around her. Now think about your own love life. Have you ever been on a date where someone only talked about themselves? Did it feel exciting? Probably not. But when someone truly listens and makes you feel special, that's unforgettable. Here's how you can develop this habit. Ask deeper questions. Move beyond small talk and get to what really matters. Actually listen. Don't just wait for your turn to speak, focus on what they're saying. Be genuinely interested. If you're faking it, people will know. Find something in their story that fascinates you. At the end of the day, people aren't just attracted to looks or charm, they're attracted to how you make them feel. If you make someone feel valued, they'll want to be around you. 7. The power of self-assurance. Have you ever been with someone who constantly needed reassurance? Maybe they kept asking, "Do you really like me?" Or, "Are you sure you're not mad at me?" At first you might have found it cute or even endearing, but over time, didn't it start to feel a little draining? Now think about someone who just knows their worth. They don't ask for validation. They don't need constant reassurance. They walk into a room like they belong there. And they don't worry about whether people like them because they already like themselves. That's self-assurance, and it's incredibly attractive. Let me tell you about a guy named David. David wasn't the richest guy. He wasn't the most conventionally attractive, but there was something about him. He never seemed desperate for attention. He never tried too hard to impress people. He just carried himself with this quiet, unshakable confidence. One night he was at a party and a woman came up to him. She asked, "So what do you do?" David smiled and simply said, "I do something I love." That was it. No bragging, no over-explaining. He didn't need to prove anything. And guess what? She was hooked. She leaned in, curious, wanting to know more. That's the power of self-assurance. People who are truly attractive don't go around proving their worth. They know they're valuable, and that quiet confidence pulls others in. So how can you develop this? Stop seeking approval. You don't need everyone to like you. Just be yourself. Own who you are. Speak about your passions with confidence, not with doubt. Carry yourself like you belong. Walk into every room as if you were meant to be there. Think about this. When was the last time you doubted yourself? What if instead you just trusted in your own value? Try it. See how the world reacts differently to you. The magic of a genuine smile. Let's talk about something so simple, yet so powerful it can literally change the way people see you. Your smile. Now, I'm not talking about a fake, forced smile. I'm talking about the kind of smile that comes from deep inside. You the kind that makes people feel warm, safe, and connected just by being around you. Think back to a time when someone smiled at you in a way that felt real. Maybe it was a crush, maybe it was someone you loved. Didn't it make your heart skip a beat? Didn't it make you feel something? Let me share a quick story. A woman named Emma used to be shy. She thought she had to look serious all the time to be taken seriously. But one day she made a small change. She decided to start smiling more. Not in a forced way, but genuinely. Something crazy happened. People started talking to her more. Strangers struck up conversations. Friends told her she seemed happier, more glowing. And soon she realized her smile wasn't just changing how people saw her. It was changing how she felt about herself. Why is a genuine smile so powerful? It makes people feel safe. A real smile signals warmth and kindness. It makes you instantly more attractive. Studies show that smiling people are perceived as more attractive than those who don't. It improves your own mood. Even if you're feeling low, Smiling can actually trick your brain into feeling happier. So try this. The next time you walk into a room, instead of looking down or serious, smile. See how people respond to you. It's one of the simplest, most powerful changes you can make. 9. The strength of keeping your word. Have you ever been in a situation where someone told you they'd do something, and then they didn't? Maybe they promised to call but never did. Maybe they said they'd be there for you, but when you needed them, they were nowhere to be found. How did that make you feel? Now think about someone in your life who always follows through. If they say they'll show up, they do. If they promise something, they deliver. You trust them, don't you? And isn't trust one of the most attractive things in a person? Let me tell you about Mark. Mark wasn't flashy. He wasn't the most charming guy in the room. But if he said he'd do something, you knew he would. If he made plans, he showed up on time. If he gave you his word, it was as good as done. One day, his friend asked, "Mark, why do people respect you so much?" Mark just smiled and said, "Because I don't say things I don't mean." And that's the secret. Keeping your word makes you rare in a world full of empty promises. It makes you stand out, and it makes people trust you not just in love, but in every area of life. So how do you develop this habit? Only promise what you can deliver. Don't say yes just to please people. Be reliable. If you say you'll be somewhere at 7 p.m., be there at 7 p.m. Hold yourself accountable. If you mess up, own it and fix it. Trust is the foundation of attraction. If people know they can count on you, they will be drawn to you in ways you never imagined. 10. The art of mystery. Let me ask you, have you ever been completely captivated by someone? Not because they were the loudest or the most charming, but because there was something about them that you couldn't quite figure out. Think back to a time when you had a crush on someone. Wasn't part of the excitement not knowing everything about them right away? That little bit of mystery, the way they spoke just enough to keep you intrigued but never gave away too much, that's what kept your mind coming back to them. That's the power of mystery, and it's one of the most silent yet powerful ways to become more attractive. Let me tell you about a woman named Olivia. Olivia wasn't the type to spill her whole life story on the first date. When someone asked her about her dreams, she'd smile and say, "That's a long story. Maybe I'll tell you another time." When people tried to dig into her past, she wouldn't avoid the question, but she also wouldn't overshare. She gave just enough to spark curiosity, leaving people wanting to know more. And you know what happened? People were drawn to her. She didn't try too hard to impress. She didn't reveal everything all at once, and because of that, she became unforgettable. So how can you master the art of mystery? Don't reveal everything too quickly. Let people discover you over time. Speak with intention. Instead of filling the silence, say only what adds value. Leave people wanting more. If someone asks about a deep topic, give a hint and save the full story for later. Ask yourself, are you an open book? Or do you allow people the excitement of slowly getting to know you? Try this. The next time someone asks about your life, share just enough to intrigue them but not everything. See how they lean in, wanting to know more. 11. The unbreakable mindset. Now let's talk about something rare, something that separates truly attractive people from the rest: mental resilience. Have you ever met someone who, no matter what life threw at them, never let it shake their spirit? Someone who took setbacks with grace and kept moving forward? That's the kind of person people can't help but admire. Let me share a story. Jake was once deeply in love. He thought he had found the one. But one day, out of nowhere, she left. No warning, no explanation, just gone. At first, Jake was shattered. He could have let this moment define him, let it break his confidence. But instead, he made a choice. He wasn't going to let one heartbreak destroy his spirit. He started working on himself, not out of bitterness, but out of a desire to grow. He learned new skills, met new people, and focused on his own life instead of chasing closure. And guess what? Months later, the same woman who left him suddenly reappeared. But this time, Jake wasn't the same guy. He had grown, evolved. He wasn't waiting for her, he was living his best life. And suddenly, she was the one chasing him. Why? Because nothing is more attractive than someone who refuses to be broken by life. So how can you develop this unbreakable mindset? Stop dwelling on the past. Learn from it, but don't let it control you. See every setback as a lesson. Instead of saying, "Why me?" say, "What can I learn from this?" Focus on growth. When things fall apart, build yourself back up stronger than before. People are drawn to those who can handle life's ups and downs with strength. Be that person. 12. The energy you carry. Now let's talk about something that has nothing to do with looks. status, or wealth, yet has the power to make you irresistibly attractive. Your energy. Think about this. Have you ever been around someone who just radiates a certain vibe? Someone who makes you feel excited, alive, and uplifted just by being near them? That's magnetic energy. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah wasn't the most traditionally beautiful person in the room, but people were drawn to her. She had this light, this warmth, this enthusiasm for life that made everyone around her feel good. When she talked about her passions, her eyes lit up. When she laughed, it was contagious. When she entered a room, people noticed not because of what she wore, but because of the energy she carried. Your energy is your presence. It's how you make people feel when they're around you, and it's more powerful than any amount of money, status, or looks. So how do you cultivate an attractive energy? Be present. Don't just exist in the moment, own it. Find what excites you. Passion is contagious. If you love something, express it. Lift others up. Compliment people. Spread positivity and watch how they're drawn to you. Here's the truth. People might forget what you say. They might forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. The art of mystery keeps people intrigued and wanting more. An unbreakable mindset makes you incredibly attractive because people admire strength. Your energy is what people truly remember. It's what makes them feel drawn to you. Now let me ask you, which of these habits do you think has the biggest impact on attraction? Have you ever met someone whose energy alone made them irresistible? Drop a comment below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on attraction, self-improvement, and Stoic wisdom. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.